This is my all-time favourite quesadilla recipe, smoky chili beef. Let's do it. First step for these quesadillas is to pop a frying pan onto the hob and turn the heat to medium. Add a tiny dash of olive oil to the pan, and the first ingredient, we want some beef mince. Chuck your beef mince into the pan, and you want to start to render out the fat and break up the beef mince as you go. And for this recipe, I like to get the beef a little bit crispy. And while the beef mince is ticking away, we're going to want some lovely bell peppers. Take a couple of bell peppers and you want to slice off the top, place it flat side down and remove the florets. Discard the core, and I like to dice up the peppers quite fine, a couple of centimeters squared. So dice up your peppers and stick those to one side. Returning to our beef, all the water should have evaporated, so you want to turn up the heat a touch, keep breaking it up and fry it off for another couple of minutes until it starts to get nice and crispy. Once your beef is nice and golden brown, pour that out into a bowl, leave any residual fat in the pan, and then chuck in your bell peppers. While we sweat down the peppers, we're going to want to prepare some red onions. Take a few red onions, chop off the tops, cut them in half, and then we want to dice up the onion about the same size as your pepper. Once you've diced up your red onion and the peppers have been on for about 5 minutes or so and they're starting to get soft, chuck in the red onion and give everything a really good stir and a toss up in the pan. The next ingredient we want is some garlic. So take a bulb of garlic, break it in half, and we want about 3 or 4 cloves. And for this recipe, we're just going to stick them into a crusher and crush a few cloves into the onions and the peppers. Give that a really good stir, and at this point we just want to prepare some coriander. Take a nice handful of your coriander and just simply dice that up really nice and fine. Stick your coriander into a bowl and pop that to one side, ready to go. At this point, chuck back in your beef mince, and then we're going to want to throw in some spices. So start with some chili powder. Add 1 teaspoon of your chili powder and then some cumin. Add a teaspoon of your cumin, and lastly some smoked paprika. Add a couple of teaspoons of your smoked paprika, give it another good stir through. Take yourself a whole lime, chop your lime in half and squeeze the juice into the quesadilla filling. Fry off for another minute to a minute and a half, and do me a favor and hit that subscribe button below. Next we want some pickled jalapenos, and first off you want to add a good splash of the water. Reduce down the water and then chuck in a nice generous amount of some pickled jalapenos. And then after a couple of moments you want to season. So add a good pinch of sea salt, a few twists of freshly ground black pepper, scatter over a really nice handful of your coriander. And now the quesadilla filling is ready. You want to empty that out into a bowl, and very quickly, if you can give the video a thumbs up by hitting the like button below. Next, the cheese for our quesadilla. We're going to be using some extra mature cheddar. So take a bowl and a box grater and grate a really nice generous amount of your cheddar cheese. Once your cheddar cheese is ready, stick that to one side, ready to cook. Clean out the pan, pop it back onto a medium heat, and then just add a small knob of butter. The butter is optional. You can toast the quesadillas off in a dry pan, entirely up to you. Now you want some nice flour tortillas. Lay one into the pan, and as soon as it's in, spoon in some of your quesadilla filling, and then scatter over a nice generous handful of your cheddar cheese. Fold your quesadilla in half, and we're going to need to give it a minute or 2 on one side, and then flip it over and another minute or 2 on the other side. Keep checking to make sure the cheese is beautifully melted through, and then once it's nicely toasted and the cheese is oozy and gooey, we're ready to go. So pop your quesadilla onto a plate. All that's left to do is to get stuck in. So give it a try, and I'll see you next time.